everybody feels like they have some involvement, and that, you know, we will always take a little bit of credit for the interest, and it's wonderful to be able to introduce today Steve Coates, who's a science teacher and a marine conservation teacher, because of course it's teaching. We need to be inspired as young people. We need the motivation and the encouragement and the inspiration of our teachers, and we need the support and guidance of our parents. So I'm really looking forward to hearing the talk this afternoon. I'd like to introduce not only Steve as the teacher, but Zoe Bargo, Josh Benjamin Lawrence, Danielle Fowler, Robin Williams, not the actor I don't think, Brooklyn Scipio, and Louis Soto. So I'll leave the floor to them. Thank you.
Just to say, it's actually Zach Bargo, not Zoe, but that's my writing. Sorry about that. Yeah, Zach, sorry. Just to say thank you for having us, to the organisers, and for the introduction. That's lovely. We're here to talk to you about emerging scientists and science, which we were given as a title or theme for the presentation today. We've tried to make it varied and try and engage a little bit in. Could you just look after that? And to include a little bit of background as well in the introduction. I travelled to Cape Town on the RMS St Helena, which was the start of what's been a great experience. I've been here 4 months, and while I was on the boat, I found a book which, apologies if you've read it, I expect some people may have done, but it's a book that I'm going to read a little from in way of introduction about the education system on St Helena. The book is titled Schooling in the South Atlantic Islands 1661 to 1992. By Dorothy Evans, and so I'm just going to read a couple of passages which explains a little bit of the background of education on the island before we think about the future, and particularly, I suppose, specifically scientific education and the future of the people learning the science on the island. So this is from the book. The remoteness and isolation of the island have had a profound effect in determining its history, and within this the development of the education system. Discovered in 1502, it was not until 1659 that St Helena became an important British trading post for the East India Company. Systems for the government and welfare of company employees and settlers were developed, and the first school was established in 1673, so 350 years ago almost. As the story of education has developed, systems have come and gone. Fluctuating periods of hardship and prosperity and strategic happenings on the island have fundamentally affected the very lifeline of its people, and accordingly the nature and organisation of schooling. Such events include the presence of Napoleon, which brought a big increase in population and temporary prosperity, the abolition of slavery on the island, the transition of the government from the company to the crown, the decline of the trade routes via St Helena and the Cape, and the corresponding emptiness of the ocean around St Helena. The presence of as many Boer prisoners as there were islanders, and all the busyness with which was generated among St Helenians, and the rise and decline of the once flourishing flax industry. All these things had a big impact on how education was tackled on the island, what was being provided for and to whom. It's a very interesting book. Throughout these happenings, education has sought to equip the younger generation with the skills to cope with both the present and the future. School systems have begun and ended, or perhaps evolved into others, masterminded by indomitable educationalists on whose shoulders others have been able to stand in order to try to see the way forward. Stalwarts in the form of island teachers, island craftsmen, visiting advisors, UK and St Helenian government officers, and generous benefactors such as the Church, the Benevolent Society, and the Rebecca Hussey Charity. From the time when parents in 1678 were exhorted to be friends to their children by sending them to school, to the present day when the young people of St Helena declare for themselves in their school song that we are the future of our island, an important story of schooling on the island has developed. And this story shows for all time that its schools have a story they are proud to tell of a work that is always worthwhile. It's a fascinating book, actually. I was compelled to buy it. It's not my sort of read, if I'm honest. I'm not a historian. But I thought, this is going to be an unusual place. I'd not been to St Helena when I was travelling out here, and I'm glad I bought it. It's very, very interesting, and it's given me some insights. However, Prince Andrew School has been a pleasant surprise. Reading the book, I was sort of expecting Sunday school, because I was in the early chapters. I was still in the 1600s and 1700s, so it was a really nice surprise to find Prince Andrew School had science labs and science equipment, which are equally equipped, I think, in science teaching facilities, as I've said here, as most maintained schools in England. The pupils' relationship with the terrestrial and marine environment is making my subjects, biology and marine science, a real pleasure to teach. They're genuinely interested and knowledgeable in what we're studying. Pupils here, as I say, are at least as inquisitive as those I've taught elsewhere, and I think that is the real prerequisite for science, something that we're hoping to outreach to the primary schools to see how they're tackling it, and way of preparation for Prince Andrew, and something that I'm sure we can work together to improve on what's already very, very good. So I want to hand over to the pupils now. They've prepared some presentation about some of the things they've been working on, and the studying that they've been doing, to give you some insight as to what's actually happening in the science department in Prince Andrew School. Thank you.